Hello everyone. In the last two videos, we learned how we can go about creating SQL queries and get some data from a database that we sort of know some information about. So in this video, we're going to take one more step and sort of connect to an SQL database or a relational database through Python. And that's going just to help us sort of like be able to use, not only be able to use features and functionality from the database scripting language SQL, but also we will be able to use the functionalities from Python, Pandas, NumPy that we've been learning about. So let's get to it and learn. So the way we're going to connect to an SQL database via Python is using a module SQLite 3. So we're going to go ahead and import SQLite 3 and also Pandas. So we run them. Then we have to here make a connection. So sometimes the connections are in a different ways, but here, since we have our database file, so we create a connection by the name of the database file that is in the same folder as the Jupyter Notebook file. So we say SQLite 3 dot connect, and we specify the name of the database, and we create a connection. So once we have that connection, now we can use Pandas to read SQL query. So basically, we are going to say, okay, I'm gonna read SQL query. This is my query. Select star from table sales. Basically, all of the sales from the customer sales, the first database we worked with, are going to be right here. So once I run this, now I get all of the data from the database in Pandas now. So I can now use everything that Panda has to offer and manipulate this data. Let's look at another example. We had a second database that we work with. It was the larger database. So the Chinook database, we also create another connection. I've named it connection 2. And now I select star customer. So I want to see all of the customers, and I am using the connection 2. So once I run this, now I have all of the customers' data that is in the database. Very simple. So let's take an example how this might be, how we might be able to use this type of connection for any analytic purposes. So find the most popular artist in the Chinook database. There are two ways we could go about this. Before continuing to watch this video, give it a try. At least find one of those ways that we could go about this. So the first thing you can do is sort of a combination of SQL query and Pandas. This is the sort of like a select that you have to write for this problem. We'll take a look at it. So this is just that select, and I'm saying this is my query, and I'm passing that query, and I created that connection to already for 2 Chinook database. So let's take a look at that select. Basically what we are selecting here, we are selecting from a sort of like 3 tables joined together. So we have artist, we are joining it with tracks, and then we are joining tracks with invoice items. And all of these are going to be sort of like brought, because we are using the star or asterisk, all of these are going to be brought to Pandas. So once I run this, now I have all of those columns of data that I can be using for this purpose. So the question is, what is the most popular artist in this database? So now for me to find the most popular artist, I need to group by the artist ID and count the number of times that a sales has happened. So here, I have changed the columns name, because some of these columns names are repetitive. So for example, we have artist ID here, and then you have another artist ID. So you want to like keep one of them, so Pandas can sort of like not get confused with them. So I have changed the columns name, and I said when I have artist ID, I've called it artist ID 2. So that repetition is not going to be problematic. So once we do this, and then we group by artist ID and artist name. When we do this group by, each artist ID will have an artist name. The reason we are doing this, we want to sort of like next to the artist ID, we also have the artist name. It's sort of like as a matter of just presentation. It's not going to really change anything. So we count the number of times that artist ID has been shown in this table. And once we do this and we sort of sort the values, and we know when we sort the values, you want to sort of like see from the other way, you want to see the numbers that are the most, then we get these 5 artists as the most popular in this database. We could have also done this in another way. We could have done this on a SQL query itself. We could have done the group by artist ID and then sort of create a sum of the quantity as the popularity, sum the quantity that these have had, the way we sum the quantity here, and call that popularity, and then sort by popularity or order by popularity. So once we run this, we get the same answer as we did using pandas. So this is the same answer. Let's take another example. Find the 10 most profitable artists in Chinook database. So it's very similar example as the previous one. So give it a try before continuing to watch this video. Exactly the same as the previous example, this one also can be solved in 2 different approaches. A combination of SQL queries and also just in SQL queries. So I already have this table here, and sort of like the answer to this question is sort of some manipulation of this data. So what I've done here, I have created a lambda function that calculated the amount of sales for each artist, total sale. I'm multiplying unit price by the quantity. And once I have this, now I group by the same things that I did group by before, but this time I say total sale.sum, the new column I created using lambda function and applying that. So once I run this, now I have the most profitable, 10 most profitable artists in this database. I could have done the same thing with a simple query and sort of like get that query and show that query here. And of course, I need to have that summation of unit price and quantity as total sale, and then sort of order by the result by total sale. And once I have that, then I can show the 10 first rows, and I will get the same result as